All right, good afternoon. So we are starting with lesson 19, interpreting points on a coordinate plane. So this is 19.1. So right now, before you even get started, I want you to pause the video, okay? And I want you to take 3 minutes to solve 19.1. All right, so your 3 minutes should have been up. Now that you solved 19.1, let's go ahead and place the letters with the correct point. So for -8, +4, this would have been B. This one, it looks like it's in between -3 and -4 for the x value, which would be D. For this one, we have over 3 up 2, that would be C, and then over 7 down -5.5 would be A. All right, always remember that the first value is your y or your x value, and it's left to right, so how much you go over. The second value is your y value, it's up and down. So remember, this is your y-axis, this is your x-axis. Okay, whenever you are at the very center, this is called the origin, and you will learn more about this later. All right, so let's move on to 19.2. So again, I want you to take a few minutes for 19.2, and I want you to pause the video. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Pause the video. Take 10 minutes to solve 19.2, and then come back to the video.
Emergency Response Team Miller, please report to room 513. Emergency Response Team Miller, please report to room 513.
All right, so please excuse the interruption. Back to 19.2. So this is a graph that shows the balance in a bank account over a period of 14 days. The axis labeled B represents the account balance in dollars. The axis labeled D represents the day. All right, so again, this is the days. This is your money. All right, so let's go through and let's see what we have. Okay, so for number 1, estimate the greatest account balance and on which day did it occur. Okay, so for number 1, it looks like the biggest point or the highest point is right here between $350 and $400, which would be $375. So this occurred on day 14. So day 14, $375. Estimate the least account balance. Okay, so the smallest one is down here. It's in between -50 and -100. Looks to be about -90. Okay, so this would be day 12. And this would be -$90. All right, what does the point 6, -50 tell you about the account balance? Well, 6 represents day 6. -50 means that you owe the bank -$50. You overdrafted on your account. So owe the bank -50 or $50. Okay, let's get that up for you. All right, and the last question. How can we interpret absolute value of -50 in the context? So remember, this is telling us that we owe the bank -50, but that means we owe the bank $50. Remember, these mean absolute value. And absolute value is always positive. And represents distance from 0, so 50. Okay, so if you have other questions, make sure you write those down and ask me tomorrow. All right, 19.3. So again, for 19.3, pause the video, take about 8 minutes to solve it. All right, so now that you are back, in the video or on your worksheet, we had high value and low value, okay? So in yours, the top values were blue, or red, I mean, representing the high temperatures, and the bottom values were blue. Since this copy is black and white, it didn't show up, so I'm just gonna go through and make sure that we know the difference between the highs and the lows. Okay. All right. So what was the warmest high temperature? So that means which one was the largest temperature. So we have 28 degrees Fahrenheit. So if we write an inequality, we know that there was no temperature above 28 degrees. So we're going to say H is less than or equal to 28 degrees. Okay. For the coldest, make sure you can see that. For the coldest, the temperature was between -2 and -4, so that would be -3 degrees Fahrenheit. And that would mean that the lowest temperature was -3, so that means all the low temperatures were greater than or equal to -3. On which days did the largest difference between the high and low temperatures occur? So let's go through and find the differences in the highs and lows. So if you look at this one, 28 and 26, the difference of that is 2. The difference of 26 and 20 is 6. The difference of 21 and 11 is 10. The difference between 11 and 3 is 8. The difference between 13 and 10 is 3. The difference between 17 and 7 is 10. The difference between 7 and -3 is also 10. The difference between 2 and -1 is 3. Okay, and I just kind of wrote those differences at the top so I could look at them and see, well, the largest difference would have occurred on days 3, 6, and 7. Okay, so days 3, 6, 7. All right, and then the smallest temperature, if we look back up, it looks like it was a 2. The difference was 2, so that would have occurred on day 1. All right, so now that you are done with lesson 19, you are going to work on the sheet that you have been given, and this is going to be an extra credit worth 5 points on tomorrow's quiz. So I'm going to show you how to set it up first. So if you take a look, let's see, you have this grid, okay? So then the first question wants us to plot these points. The question is, what goes up a chimney down but can't go down a chimney up? Okay, so we have to start with point -5, -1. So what you will do is you will write the point, then you will plot it. Okay, then you're going to come down here and cross it out so we know that we plotted it. And you're going to write what quadrant that point was in. So remember, I told you yesterday to think of what quadrants you can make a C. How do you start a C? Well, 1, then the C comes here, 2, 3, and 4. So this is quadrant 1. So think of it, you remember, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they end 1 and 4. So if you drew a large C, this is how you can remember your quadrants. So the point 5, -1 is in the third quadrant. So I am going to write 3 here. Okay. Then for the second point, if I go down, it says -4, +1. So I'm going to plot -4, +1 here. Okay. But then I've got to remember to connect the dot before it. So the first dot connects to the second dot. Okay, so that was a -4, +1. That is in quadrant 2. Okay, I'm going to plot one more with you. All right, then we have, after we cross that one out, -2, +3. So -2 up to +3. I'm going to connect them, okay? And that is also in quadrant 2, okay? So cross that one out. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to connect the dots before it to the next one and keep going, and then I should come up with an answer. Now, if any of your points are on this line right here, they are not technically in a quadrant. They are on the x-axis. So you would write x-axis for the point, for the quadrant location. If it's in the middle, this is called the origin. Remember I told you 0, 0 equals the origin. Okay, so you'll finish filling out this for number 2 and number 1, so you'll make the picture, fill it out, okay? At number 3, let's look at number 3. Number 3 is asking you if you have 2 positive points. So say you have the points 3, 3. What quadrant is that located in? Okay, now if you have 2 negative points, -3, -3, what quadrant would that be in? So it wants to know with the same signs, both positive or both negative, what quadrants would they be located in? All right. So when you have finished this, you may place this in the green bin and work on your homework. If you do not finish it, you can finish it for homework and turn it in tomorrow for the 5 points extra credit.